Please take it over.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu, and thank you to your Sangha for inviting me. I'm very, very grateful and very happy to be with a nice group of devotees here. And I hope to serve all of you based on whatever understanding I have. And I also hope to, see if we could have a discussion where, all of us could share different points so that, we could all learn so many more things apart from just, the speaker. We all have wonderful realizations, and it'll be nice to hear everyone. We went back and forth with Ramachandra Prabhu. Also, it's a little difficult to reach him because he doesn't have WhatsApp. Email is email is becoming like it's like a little slow compared to WhatsApp. So just finding a way to reach Prabhuji. But Prabhuji has been very responsive. So we went back and forth with various topics, and finally, I think Prabhuji liked this one, which was tolerance for being corrected. And so I thought I could do a brief. I have some slides. I could do a brief presentation on that, share some points, and then we could open the Zoom call for discussion. And before that, we can all chant the pranam mantra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishna Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tamahine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Agyanti Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girin Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Parmananda Madhavam वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we now start the slides. Just give me a moment as I share the screen. Can you all see like the big screen, or you can still see the PowerPoint with all the tools?
Big screen.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we have this topic, tolerance for being corrected. Some of the points that I want to cover in this discussion is how does having tolerance for being corrected help us grow? We'll see different stories from Srimad Bhagavatam, different instances and incidents, and how different devotees deal with correction. And we will work in identifying our own blocks towards being corrected. What are our own blocks towards being corrected, and what can we do to work on them? Some very quick tips for you to think about. Of course, applying them and making them your own will take it'll be your own journey. But I believe I'll speak for 45 minutes, and then we'll have time open for discussion. Now, what is this tolerance for being corrected? I'll just speak a little bit about this first. Tolerance for being corrected is all the time, I'm receiving so much feedback. We're all receiving feedback in the work we do, in our workplace, at home, from the garbage truck, hey, you didn't put the garbage right. From the grocery store to even, within the devotee community, when we're moving around, when we're serving together, there is so much correction we are receiving. Sometimes we really need to fix ourselves. The feedback is really important, and we need to fix ourselves. It's like, we have a lot of blind spots. When we drive, we have, we have these mirrors on the side, we have the rear view mirror. So those mirrors, usually I like to drive. When I drive, I also look a little bit over my shoulder. I just don't want to completely rely on those side mirrors. But those mirrors help me know my blind spots, so that when I'm driving and I'm lane changing, or I'm going straight and somebody else wants to change their lane, I don't get into an accident. So in our life, in our spiritual life, in our characters, in our natures, Prakriti, Swabhava, we all have some blind spots, things we're not aware of, in our personalities. Certain things we're aware of, but we kind of, don't pay much attention and don't fix it. We're like, fine, this is who I am, and this is how it's going to go on. Because it's a lot of hard work to actually do all this inner work and work on yourself and identify and keep the focus and keep goals and keep tracking and doing all of that. And sometimes we're not aware of the blind spots, but they are evident to everybody. And everybody's wondering, like, when is Navkishore going to fix this in herself? My God, she's causing so much trouble all around. But it's not evident to me. So when we get feedback, it's like those rear view mirror, it's like those side mirrors in your car, which help you know what your blind spots are and what you can fix so that you don't get into accidents with other people, or accidents, you don't create trouble for yourself in your own life. And how tolerant are we when we get that feedback? Are we able to accept it easily? Are we able to like, what is my first response to that feedback? Am I like, hey, I'm going to defend myself? No, this is wrong. It's making me look bad. It's making my identity look bad. My God, I don't know what they're going to think about me. Is my first defense that no, I'm right? Or is my first defense, oh, thank you for the feedback. I'm going to think about it. I'm really grateful to you for sending this, sharing this with me. And then we go and think about it, and we think about, hey, I got this feedback. Do I really do this? Maybe, let me check, let me understand, let me try to understand more. The devotee, or the person giving you the feedback may have a very good intention to support you, or sometimes they may, they're really troubled by what you're doing to them. But it's always nice to be able to take that moment, not have all our defenses up, take that moment and actually go back and think about it and do something about it. Incorporate it in your list of action items that you need to fix, and prioritize it and have a plan around it, just like we do at work, or just like we do, in our Janmashtami services in the temple. We organize, we prioritize, and we do so many things. So this tolerance for being corrected, I really liked this, this phrase. And there was an article many years ago in the Back to God It magazine by Mataji. Her name's Hare Krishna Devi Dasi. And she had talked about her service, which was about taking care of the cows. And in that, she was talking about the amount of personal transformation one can experience just by serving the cows. And she spoke about many points over there, and the article is available online. You all can read. It's a really nice article. And how the serving the cow puts you in the mode of goodness, and how you start developing a lot of spiritual qualities just by associating with the cow. And one of the incidents she mentioned over there was one cow who, she left the barn, and Hare Krishna Mataji was in charge of that area, and it was her responsibility to keep that door closed. But for whatever reason, I don't remember the exact incident, but she didn't give her the food on time, or the barn door was open and the cow like started running in the fields and started running, way ahead. And Hare Krishna Devi Dasi was very worried and very disturbed. And then she was wondering what to do. And then she found where the cow was because of the cows moving. And then she chased the cow. And she went with a stick. And when she went with the stick and she was able to finally catch hold of the cow, um, she had to, to bring the cow back, she had to hit the cow, scare the cow a little bit and hit the cow. And she said it was very difficult for me to do that. To hit the cow. She said, because it was not the cow that was in the wrong, I was in the wrong. I was in the wrong. I didn't close the barn door, and that's why this cow ran away. And me hitting her, I should have been more responsible. I was feeling terrible, but that was the only way to bring her back. And then the cow kept mooing, protested a little bit, but then just followed along and came to Hare Krishna Devi and, went back to the barn and, was again well situated in the barn. And then Hare Krishna Devi says that she learned something from this whole incident, because when Hare Krishna Devi finished her duties and then she came again the next day, the cow was as loving to her as always. She had no grudge for being, shown the stick or pulled from where she wanted to come away from, where she didn't want to come away from. And she was still like the same person with Hare Krishna Devi Dasi, and she was still mowing and licking her and loving her and so happy to see her and welcomed her in the barn with her moose, all of that. And that's when Hare Krishna Devi says is that this cow had a tolerance for being corrected. Even after the correction, she was still the same happy person. She learned some lesson. She was still the same happy person. And she didn't hold any grudge towards the person giving the feedback. So when I read that many years ago, this the phrase Mataji used, tolerance for being corrected, I was very inspired because I've never thought of tolerance in terms of this. I've always thought of tolerance in tolerating provoking situations, tolerating difficult situations, tolerating heat and cold, tolerating difficult people, and so many different ways in which tolerance has to be exhibited, manifested, or can be practiced. And I was very intrigued when I read this tolerance for being corrected. And then, I was able to, then I really liked it, and I thought maybe I could connect some Bhagavatam stories with that and make a presentation for all of you. So let's start with a few characters. And then also because, when you have a phrase on your radar, you start hearing that in a lot of different lectures also. You start getting a lot of points around the same topic. So this pastime, can you all see the image? I don't know what it looks like for you. Okay. Yeah, put it here. Okay. So, we all know the pastime of Kubja. She's this lady, who's does all these beautiful ointments and scents for King Kamsa in Mathura. And when Krishna and Balaram are invited by Kamsa to Mathura for a duel, they come there and they're walking around like very excited boys in the town of Mathura, exploring the town, meeting different people, and also giving a lot of mercy to all the residents of Mathura through their presence and through the darshan. And as they're moving around, there are various incidents that happen with the elephants, with the washerman, etc. And then there is one incident that happens with Kubja, this ointment seller. She's a Trivakra. She is bent in three different places, and she invites a lot of criticism and a lot of, people make fun of her body. They don't respect her so much. But she's very fixed and very focused in her service to the king. And in spite of her body, in spite of not being praised that much, etc., she is hired by the palace because she does the best, ointments and, all those aromas for the king. And that really excites the king and keeps him in good spirits. So he likes what she does, and she's very conscientious about that. So of course you all know the whole story, and in the interest of time I won't get into all the details of the story. We'll just focus on the areas where the point of tolerance for being corrected is there. Now here she is, and her innermost desire is to be with Krishna. Krishna of course knows that, and therefore he reciprocates with her. And here we have, in this image, we see how Krishna is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that he steps on her toes and gradually lifts her up. He steps on her toes, raises her torso, pulls up her chin, like you can see in the picture, makes her body completely straight. And just by his touch, she becomes very, very beautiful. And in one of the lectures, Radhanath Swami also describes her as, representation of Mother Bhumi, who's willing to share the best aspect of hers, which is her essences. Her essence is her essence, the aromas. And she's willing to give that to Krishna. And very freely, she allows Krishna to straighten her up. And then he elaborates a little bit about how there is no false ego. There is no resistance at all. She's being corrected. She's being fixed up. But there's absolutely no resistance. She's completely surrendered, completely sheltered, and she's accepting whatever Krishna is telling. And because she tolerates being corrected in public, in front of everyone who makes fun of her, she gets the most beautiful body, and she gets the most beautiful association of Lord Krishna, and Krishna also comes to her home. And her desire to be with Krishna is also satisfied and is purified and satisfied. So this is like here, the body can also give so much resistance, and there can be so much fear when someone is correcting us also. But she just allows herself to surrender to that whole process, and she gets this very beautiful, beautiful form. And there's all auspiciousness that comes to her life, right? Now we are also in our lives, many times we may be criticized and underappreciated, right? Outside in the world, because we have a Vakra consciousness. Maybe we have Trivakra consciousness also. But we have, some of us are different. Some of us, we have our anarthas that we're working on. We have our own challenges at home that cause us to behave in ways in which sometimes we are also surprised, like, hey man, what happened to me? Why did I behave like that? It happens to all of us. And we are also on the spotlight, and we are also being, people may be talking about us, people may be saying things about us, so many things. We may also be underappreciated and criticized, just like she was underappreciated and criticized for her body. But the difference is, some of us still hold on to that personality, because sometimes it's a little, it's below, it's like a little pride thing that, no, I'm actually fine. So I'm not taking your feedback to change anything, because I'm fine, I'm the best, and, I'm great. So even if people can continue making fun, continue criticizing, but we still hold on to that pride of that, no, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine. And we continue being in a Vakra consciousness, we continue being criticized, continue being underappreciated. So these are some things for us to meditate, some things for us to think about, and I'm sure you're all getting some wonderful points as well. And please note them, and we will take them up and hear from you all in the discussion. The next is we have Kala Krishna Das, right? We all know about this pastime of Kala Krishna Das from Chaitanya Leela. And during the South India Yatra, I think Advaita Charya and Nityanand Prabhu and others, they insist to Lord Chaitanya that don't go alone, because you'll be holding a kamandalu in one hand, you'll be chanting the other, and you really need someone to be with you. You can't go everywhere alone. You need someone to help you, and it's nice to have someone with you. So then they designate Kala Krishna Das Brahmachari to go with Lord Chaitanya. And then they go through different places. He serves Lord Chaitanya. He's in the most esteemed association of the Lord himself. But he gets in one of the places, he gets attracted to the gypsies or the Bhattaharis of the place, and he starts associating with them. And when he starts associating with them, he starts getting attracted to all their mystic powers and their, the stuff that they can do. And once, I believe, he's not there for the service, or it doesn't show up on time, and Lord Chaitanya gets worried about him and starts looking for him. And then he finds him, that the Bhattaharis have actually taken him in their camp, and they are, doing their own rite of initiation, etc., with him. And he's there with them. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually brings him out from there. There's a big bloody fight. The Bhattaharis are releasing weapons. Lord Chaitanya is sending those weapons back to them. They are, hurting Mahaprabhu. They are hurting him. But finally, Lord Chaitanya is able to pick him, like, hold his, him from the hair and actually pull him out of that situation. And then after that, even if Kal Krishna Das made a mistake, it disturbed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's yatra, did not serve him properly, and all of that, and went to the completely the other side from what he's associating with, found something more attractive than the Lord himself. The Lord Chaitanya keeps him for the entire yatra till the yatra is not completed, and the scriptures describe that goes on for a year. That after this incident, until Lord Chaitanya's yatra is completed, that goes on for a year. And he continues to serve Lord Chaitanya for a year after the incident. And when I read that, I was thinking that, I make a mistake, and I make a terrible mistake, like a horrible mistake. And I am ready to leave a particular camp, but I'm pulled back, and I'm got back by my master. Would it be easy for me to serve that master for an entire year? I don't think so, because I would have my ego. No, I did the right thing. Even if I know internally I didn't do the right thing, but my own ego would be there. No, I did the right thing. You pulled me. You're wrong, and I did the right thing. I'm still going to hold on to my external ego, because I think that's needed for proper social interaction. I think it would be very hard for me to serve for a year. After making that mistake. I'm sure some of you would be, pure consciousness would find it very easy. But to know that my master knows how badly I messed up, and to continue serving for a year and not leave the service really requires a lot of tolerance for being corrected, right? And he seriously repents his misdoing. He serves Lord Chaitanya for the year. And when Lord Chaitanya is back, with the devotees in now with Bengal, Lord Chaitanya, removes him from his service and says he's not qualified. He actually messed up, and he actually created a lot of disturbance for me. And he, vows, that, okay, I don't want to see this person. But then the devotees, Lord Karl Krishna Das is seriously repentful, etc. The devotees make requests and all to Lord Chaitanya, and finally it is decided that he will stay away. I don't remember the geography that much where Mahaprabhu was and where these devotees were, but I think Mahaprabhu was in Puri. So then they say that he could stay in Navadvip, and he could also in the surrounding villages, and he could speak about Lord Chaitanya's yatra to everyone. So this is another devotee makes a mistake, tolerates being corrected, comes back to the camp, serves sincerely, and continues serving for a year. And even after that, he's seriously repentful. Like some of us may think, oh, I served sincerely for a year after that. Like, what does he expect? What is this, removing me from service? I did my atonement. Come on, give me a break. You need to accept me now. But no, that's not his attitude. He is sincerely repentful, continues being repentful, and accepts whatever the Lord has to give him, and takes shelter of devotees. Now, if I make a public mistake, everyone's aware of it, would I have the courage to take shelter of devotees in that situation? Or would I want to escape association because I'm wondering about, man, I don't know what everyone's going to think about me. And, I don't know if they'll accept me. I don't know if I can accept myself. I don't know what's going on. And many times I have, and I pray that I remain on the path. I have seen devotees that, they make a mistake and they actually run away from Guru. They run away from the Shiksha Gurus. And the Gurus and the Shiksha Gurus also feel very helpless in what to do. So they maintain some contact as so that the person doesn't just leave Krishna consciousness. But it's so embarrassing to take shelter of devotees at that time. It really requires a lot of tolerance for being corrected, a lot of humility also, like that. Another pastime that really, the whole sixth canto, it's a beautiful, Indra, Maharaj Chitraketu, then Vritrasura, etc. And here we have Maharaj Chitraketu, and he's this king, and he has like 1 million queens. The amount of time that must have gone in conducting those marriages, and those are not like 7-10 day marriages. The king's marriage, how many days. So he's had so many different weddings, and the purpose for those weddings is that none of his wives, through his wives, he's not able to have a child. So he thinks another woman, another woman, another woman, there will be some end to this, and I will be able to have a child, because having a child is important for continuing my dynasty, and then my child will be able to also deliver all the ancestors by performing proper prithu karma, right? So he's very disturbed when Angira Rishi visits him, sees he's very disturbed, and why is he disturbed, etc. So then he gives him some yagya to do, and then the prasad is given to the top queen Prityaduti, and finally he's able to have a child. But Angira Rishi says that, hey, the child will bring you happiness also, bring you sorrow also, and the name of the child is Harsha Shoka. Now, because the child is born to this queen, Maharaj Chitraketu naturally spends more time with this queen because the child is with this queen, so the relationship starts becoming stronger. So the other 999,999 queens, they start getting a little, they get disturbed because they're not getting the attention from their husband. They're not. So then they scheme, and then they poison the child, and the child dies. And therefore Harsha Shoka. And then you can see in this picture, the leftmost picture, Chitraketu is so disturbed. The queen is so disturbed. And then all those queens also, they're Vaishnavis, they immediately realize their mistake, and they are also very repentful. Now here, then, he's like really in pain, really crying, very, very disturbed. And when Angira Rishi sees that he has reached the peak of his pain and he has felt his pain very deeply, then Angira Rishi and Narad Muni, they show up there, and then they guide him. And the child also, Narad Muni is able to bring the child back to life. And the child, says some very spiritually elevating things that, which father are you, which lifetime, and the soul's journey is to go back to Krishna. Let's not disturb ourselves, and let's stay focused on that, etc. And after all of this, Chitraketu becomes sober again. And then Narad Muni gives him some mantras, and then he chants those mantras, he does those austerities, and he achieves the perfection of life, right? So here he accepts and he learns from them, and he achieves the perfection of life. He gets to be in the planet of the Vidyadharas, and he stays there, and he has his own flying mansion, like, his flying plane, not mansion, flying plane, and he can roam around everywhere. And then once when he is roaming around like that, because he's, purified himself to that level that he can be in close association of Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, like that, he sees Lord Shiva giving a discourse to some saints, and on talking about, speaking about various different topics about the Lord. And he has Mother Parvati sitting on his lap. So Chitraketu Maharaj, he appreciates Lord Shiva by saying that, look at the great detachment of Lord Shiva. He can speak about detachment, and he's so detached, and he can, have his wife on his lap in an assembly of detached people. That is his greatness. But Mother Parvati doesn't like that statement. Sometimes we don't mean something, but some other devotee doesn't like what we're saying. Mother Parvati doesn't like what he said, so she curses him that, hey, you've become too arrogant, because of all the things you got. And I curse you that you'll take birth in the demon species, and, you'll go back down to the earthly planets, and you'll take birth in a demon species, and you'll fight against the Devatas, like that. Now, at that point, when you read in the 6th canto about how Maharaj Chitraketu accepts that whole thing, like seemingly he hasn't made a mistake. See, the previous two stories, there was some error, some mistake that was done. But here Maharaj Chitraketu has not done anything wrong. But he still just accepts, and he says, you're my mother. I did not mean to say anything, but you're offended. So I just accept whatever you say. And anyway, the entire material world is temporary. So wherever you send me is the same thing, and I can keep serving the Lord. And then he goes from there. And after that, Lord Shiva, all the several sages in Mother Parvati, they're all very, very, amazed at his clarity of mind and clarity of consciousness and focus, right? And then Lord Shiva says the verse which Prabhupada has quoted in so many different places: Narayana para sarvena kutas chanana vidhyati swarga apavarga narkeshu api tulyartha darshana. So the Narayana para devotee, fully engaged in the service of Lord Narayana para sarvena kutas chanana vidhyati, is not fearful of any situation of life. Whether you put them as Swarga or Apavarga or Narka, doesn't matter, because they're constantly engaged in serving the Lord. So wherever they go, they'll serve the Lord, right? So what is really amazing is he's not made a mistake, but he still tolerates being corrected. He accepts. Imagine you're like, Vidyadharas, you're well respected for your austerities, you have access to Lord Shiva, you can travel, you can do all of these things. And then you're cursed to be a demon, Vritrasura, and you're cursed to fight against the Devatas, right? But he does his duty, even in that form, like you can see on the right. He does his duty as Vritrasura. He puts up a valiant fight. And when Indra is losing his confidence, he encourages Indra, hey man, you have this thunderbolt, you can kill me, come on, do it. So he does his full duty as Vritrasura, and he encourages Indra also to do his dharma. So here, again, the situation is, doesn't make a mistake, still tolerates being corrected. And the consciousness is, you feel offended, I accept what you have to say, and I'll do whatever punishment you want me to do. Because whatever it is, it's arranged by the Lord, and I'm willing to be subservient to the Lord's wishes. Like that. And then, we have this now, why does the fight between Vritrasura and Indra happen? Now, if you look at Maharaj Chitraketu's consciousness and Vritrasura's consciousness, and here we see Indra. We have Indra again in the 6th canto, it continues, and I couldn't get a very high resolution picture here, but the picture is very beautiful. You have Indra is accepting full worship. He has the chamara, he has the people singing his praises, people dancing for him, everyone all around him, and appreciating him, and he's like fully enjoying the glory. See, when we are being praised, we lose our it's like a lot of pleasure when we're being praised. So we tend to lose our sense of discrimination when we're receiving worship, when we are surrounded by materially opulent places, and we are receiving praise, and we are enjoying our senses, etc. We tend to lose our discrimination. We tend to be less alert to our duties in those situations. And his guru comes there, but Indra does not get up to receive his guru, continues receiving praise in front of his guru, which is a very, there's very bad etiquette. And he continues receiving praise to his Guru. Guru Brihaspati observes all of that and then leaves from there. And then Indra realizes that, oh, okay, there was this, I made this mistake, and okay, now let me fix it. His fixing is not coming from a place of, oh, I really disrespected my Guru, and I need to, really atone for what I did, and I need to transform my heart, and I need to really sincerely seek forgiveness. His whole fixing mechanism is, oh, my Guru's offended, I'm going to lose my powers. Because we all have, the more we serve our Guru, the more powerful we become. He's offended. Oh my God, it's not good for me. Let me go and ask for forgiveness. There's a huge difference. One sense of seeking forgiveness is coming from the place of, proper spiritual conception of life. The other is coming from a material perspective. Oh, I lose all my possessions. So Guru Brihaspati can sense that. So what he does is he disappears. He becomes invisible. So Indra is not able to find him. So that's the first offense he does. Because he does the first offense, what happens is the demons, because they served their Guru Shukracharya very sincerely, they're becoming more and more powerful. And the demigods, because they disrespected the Guru, they become lesser in their power and their abilities, and they're losing a lot of different battles. So Indra and the other devatas, they don't know what to do. So then they go and visit Lord Brahma, right? And when they go and visit Lord Brahma is like, yeah, the devatas are becoming, the demigods are going to become more powerful because they're sincerely serving their Guru Shukracharya. And that's why they have the blessings of their Guru, and they're empowered by that. You need to now accept Vishwarupa as your Guru, and he'll give you the Narayan Kavach mantra. You accept that and you'll be protected. So here you see these nice images some devotees have created, right? He goes to Vishwarupa, begs him, accepts him as Guru, but again commits another offense to his own Guru, right? Because he later sees, he gets the Narayan Kavacha also, gets the protection also, everything. But what does he do? He sees that Vishwarupa is offering, doing some yagyas which the Brahmanas do, Agnihotras and yagyas every day. And he sees that Vishwarupa is offering some oblations. And because from his mother's side, Vishwarupa is, from the lineage of demons also, from his mother's side. So naturally, once you're doing the yagya, you offer something to your Pitrus. So he offers some oblations even to the Pitrus on the mother's side. So when they see that, they think, oh, okay, Vishwarupa is partial and he's not totally committed to the devatas, and he's something wrong with him. He's partial to the demigods. So what does Indra do? So he doesn't really learn anything from the previous mistake that he did of offending his Guru. He actually goes and he kills Vishwarupa, kills his own Guru, the new Guru they have accepted, right? Now, what is a consciousness? The consciousness hasn't transformed because there was no tolerance for being corrected. The consciousness hasn't transformed. He's going and, again, why? Because I am too attached to my material possessions, right? I only wanted to seek forgiveness from Guru Brihaspati so that I can have my whole universe intact, have my things intact. And now again, Vishwarupa, my Guru, is creating, his behavior is going to cause trouble to me. I'm going to lose my material opulence and all of that. And he's favoring the demons. So let me go and kill him, right? So there's no correction happening because there is absolutely no tolerance, because there is complete, engagement with the material energy. It's all about, what am I going to lose, right? So then again he does that, and then again the demons are becoming more powerful, and a battle has to ensue, and many other things happen. Then finally he's advised, or he realizes that, okay, I need a weapon that I can really I can win the battle. So then he goes to Rishi Dadichi along with the other devatas, and he asks Rishi Dadichi. Now I don't remember this part of the story, but I think he's advised again, oh, Dadichi can help you. And he tells Dadichi, Rishi, why don't you leave your body? You give me your bones. With all your mystic powers, etc., your bones are very powerful, and I'm going to make a thunderbolt with these bones. And Rishi Dadichi looks at him. He completely knows the intention of Indra and how misplaced it is, etc. But Rishi Dadichi thinks, this is a great opportunity for me to protect Dharma. This is a great opportunity for me to support the devatas because they are in charge of the functions and they work under Lord Vishnu. So this is a great service for me to do to Lord Vishnu. So let me give up my body. And then he gives up his body, and he takes, Indra again takes the bones from Dadichi, right? And he makes the thunderbolt with that, and he kills Vrittasura. We've seen the Thunderbolt. We don't have the Thunderbolt here, but I think somewhere we have the Thunderbolt. Yeah, here. You see him that he's losing in the battle, but then finally with Vritrasura's encouragement, he's able to kill Vritrasura with the Thunderbolt from Dadichi's bones. Now here we've seen Kubja accepts being corrected. Kal Krishnadas completely surrenders and tolerates being corrected. Chitraketu Maharaj also, even if he's not made a mistake, accepts the correction that he receives. He's able to tolerate it. And we have Indra, commits one offense after the other, offending Brahmanas repeatedly, doesn't learn much. Yes. So what, and we are all in this spectrum. Some of us can tolerate being corrected. Some of us cannot. Some of us are defensive. Some of us are like, who are you to correct me? So what are some of our reasons, our own internal reasons that block us from being corrected? We don't accept correction very easily, right? So one of it, as we can see, is Indra's case is strong attachment to matter. Very strong attachment to matter. So when we want something, so someone is correcting us, our focus is so much in wanting to get those things for ourselves, whether it's subtle or gross, that we're not able to accept the correction, because if we accept the correction, then we won't get those things. We will have to give up on those things, right? So one of them is that. Also, attachment to false glory. We've already talked about that in Kubja's case. We think that even if we may go and give programs talking about the 4 defects that the humans have, which is, imperfect senses, tendency to be in illusion, commit mistakes, and so on. Yeah, we still want ourselves to be perfect. We want to project ourselves as perfect. Even if we are aware that these defects are there, we are defective pieces. The very fact that we have this material body itself is that we are defective. Our consciousness is vakra. The very fact that we have this material body, but in that we want to project, no, I'm perfect, right? So we have this attachment to this false glory, and this sometimes this name and having a perfect, spotless name also helps you. It's a social currency. So it helps you in your interaction with people. It helps you in your dealings with people. It helps you in getting your things done. And it smoothens a lot of things in your day-to-day life. Yes, so it is important to have that social currency of reputation. But we are so attached to it in projecting ourselves as perfect, in spite of knowing the philosophy, in spite of knowing we're so imperfect, that we don't accept. And it's not just externally, internally also, it's very difficult for us to accept, because we also, some of us tend to have a very low humility quotient. See, it takes a lot of humility, right? Humility is not just Trinadapi, Sunichena, Taruriva, we chant the shloka and we're done. Humility is something we have to live and we have to experience and we have to exhibit in everyday life. And as we do that, we actually grow, just like Kubja. She grew. She achieved the highest reward that one could get in their life. So we tend to have a low humility quotient, right? We don't know what it is to be humble and being corrected. We don't know how to exhibit it. It's impossible for us to tolerate that. Some of us, we hate our imperfections. We hate our imperfections so much. We cannot love ourselves unless we are perfect. And that's a problem that's across the board. You'll see different people in different levels having great difficulty in loving and accepting themselves and being compassionate to their own selves, in spite, even when they've made mistakes. And that has to do a lot with the internal dialogue. That has to do a lot with the cultures we come from. That has to do a lot with how our caregivers, our teachers, and people we looked up to, the family situations we lived in or we currently live in, and how do they treat us when we make mistakes, right? So a lot of times when we make mistakes, probably things were taken away from us, love was taken away from us, and we started believing love is at a premium. It only comes when I'm perfect. And therefore, we're trying so hard to be perfect all the time so that we can get some love from our loved ones, from our parents. And sometimes we do that as parents ourselves, right? So then the child grows up thinking that I'm not lovable unless I'm perfect. I'm not worthy of being loved unless I'm perfect. So let me keep trying to be perfect. And then that becomes like your inner mode, and you keep doing that. And we need to come from a place of more self-love and self-compassion and learn how to accept ourselves, learn how to be compassionate to ourselves, learn how to be supportive of ourselves, even when we make mistakes, even when we have our imperfections. Sometimes there is also a fear of losing love and relationships, right? So we talked about losing love, but sometimes we fear we will lose the relationship if someone can see even one spot in ourselves. And we fear that because we've not experienced proper love. We've experienced the love that only if you're perfect, we have a relationship. Only if we're doing this, we have relationships. Else, we don't. So we really, we don't even know that there could be relationships where people could accept you for who you are. We haven't experienced that, right? So therefore, there can be a lot of resistance. And we're also sometimes, or a lot of times, we can be very disconnected from our own needs, from our own selves and our own needs, and we tend to lead a mechanical spiritual life, mechanical material life. Now, how does this connect to not being able to tolerate, or not being able to increase our tolerance quotient for being corrected? When you're disconnected from your own self and your own needs, when you're being corrected, uh, your first defense could be just to protect and defend yourself and say you didn't do anything wrong and all of that, because social discourse also can be very difficult sometimes. But because we're not aware of our needs, we sometimes don't know the proper strategies to use to take care of our needs, right? We all have basic needs that you could either look from the pancha kosha, the annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. At each level of kosha, there are certain needs, they're basic needs. Or if you could look at the Maslow's needs hierarchy triangle, the pyramid, right? Right from safety and security to love and belonging to doing something useful in your life, self-actualization, etc. He has these different levels. And we all have the needs to be loved. We have the need to feel safe, and protected, need for connection, need for emotional intimacy, need for doing something worthwhile with our lives, leaving a legacy, and fully being actualized, self-actualized, spiritually and materially. Like, oh, all my abilities are being used for a good cause, right? Now, we all have these needs, and there's nothing wrong with these needs. But sometimes we don't have the socially acceptable or spiritually acceptable strategies to meet those needs, right? If someone is hungry and they don't have money at all, their strategy could be bhiksham dehi, right? That's a socially acceptable strategy in India, like, or accepting, requesting, I need help. But someone who's hungry, their strategy to meet the need would be to go and steal money, right? So what is it's not that the need is an issue, it's a strategy we are using to meet the need is an issue. So when we're disconnected from ourselves and our own needs, we may do certain things in a certain way, and that may cause us to be corrected, but then we don't accept it. But the point is, the more we connect with our nature, who we are, what's my personality, and what my needs are, and the more we learn how to take care of them with proper strategies that are socially acceptable, the easier it is for us to be corrected, because we really have our back here, right? We know we stand for ourselves. We won't be alone. People, even if everyone disowns us because we made a mistake, I have myself, right? So all of these different things are there. Now, what happens when we accept being corrected, right? What does the future path look like when we accept being corrected, versus what does the future path look like when we don't accept being corrected as devotees? What does it look like for us, right? So you made a mistake. You have the tolerance for being corrected. It helps you with anartha nivritti, right? Finally, this is a process of anartha nivritti, right? And we are able to look within, figure it out, work on it, take help from senior devotees and go for it, right? So it helps in anartha nivritti. And finally, with all the stages that are there between anartha nivritti and then you have nishtha and then ruchi and so on, and then you have bhava and you have prema. Finally, you achieve the goal of life, right? Is to be in the eternal service of Radha and Krishna, right? Whether you go to Goloka or not, the point is you're liberated because you're so fully engaged in the Lord. You become that Narayana Para devotee like Chitraketu, and you're engaged in the service of the Lord. And wherever the Lord sends you for His service, you do that service, right? Now, when we don't have the tolerance for being corrected, we have um, we cover up. We try to do this huge, massive cover up. Now, when we cover up, now sometimes we cover up because if you lose that social currency, there can be a huge, it can create big problems for you. So you tend to cover up. But you may cover up outside. What are you doing inside? Are you examining that anartha and trying to work on it? Or maybe you're not. Either way, the anartha becomes very strong inside. It becomes a deep impression, becomes a deeper impression, like, wow, I did this. Nobody could catch me. Let me do it again. Right? There was once something I read in Reader's Digest. The ATM machines were new, and not so new, but it was new for this child, this 4-year-old child, to go with his mother, and mother parked the car in the ATM parking lot, and then she went to the ATM to withdraw some money, and she put her card in and she withdrew money, and the son was like, wow, my mom put this card inside and she got this money out, and then he goes, Mom, do it again. No one is watching. You can do it again. So he thought his mom is stealing, and let's do it again because no one is watching. So we tend to repeat stuff that we were not corrected for, or that we were not caught, we were not caught, or we were able to, deflect all the criticism that come, and we were able to prove it that I was right. But what happens is, if you don't do the goldsmith work, now of course everything is machines and everything is mechanized, but when the goldsmith makes a necklace, he has a small hammer and he's actually hammering those designs and cutting pieces, etc. He's doing all that fine work every day, and you get this beautiful necklace, right? If you don't do this goldsmith work, Krishna is going to do the blacksmith work. Boom, it's going to come on you. And we're getting these small opportunities to fix ourselves. And the embarrassment is not so big. So the smaller community, lesser people know about your faults, the better. But if you don't do this goldsmith work, the anatta becomes strong. You keep going at it, Mom, no one's looking, do it again, right? So you keep doing it, it's becoming strong inside of you. And Krishna's like, hey, you chant my name, you say you want to come back to me, you eat prasadam, you associate with devotees, but you can't come back to me with this. So let me do something to fix you. And we've seen Krishna do this blacksmith work with Indra so many times, right? It's like public. Everybody knows. We're still talking about these things. And of course, Indra is worshipable devotee for all of us. And this is just, so that we can understand. But now this Govardhan Leela, for eternity, everyone's going to talk about Indra's false ego, right? So then Krishna does the blacksmith work, and it's a public humiliation. And it's only out of compassion so that we can be fixed. But until that happens, the anartha becomes strong. We also develop a lot of psychological issues. By holding on to, when I've seen a lot in my clients, when they've made mistakes, they hold on to that burden, even if they're trying to protect themselves, and they hold on to that burden. And then that leads to a lot of different psychological issues in them. Their confidence can be low, or their irritability becomes higher, their inability to relate to people, inability to have meaningful connections, etc. Because they're holding on to this burden of, hey, I made a mistake. And we're all honest. Internally, everybody knows what they're doing. So we develop a lot of psych issues. There can be some self-hatred also. I have seen that. We make more mistakes, right? And we continue in this material pool of birth, disease, old age, and death, right? So it's lie, cheat, repeat. Lie, cheat, repeat. That's what goes on. So the choice is for us to make. It's very clear over here, right? That if you can tolerate being corrected, the path looks very different from the lie, cheat, repeat path and the cycle of birth, disease, old age, and death. Because clearly we're not these bodies, we're not this identity. I'm not Namita Purohit. I'm not Nakishori Devi Dasi. I am this, this has been given to me. I am this soul who's here on this, nth wash cycle of birth, disease, old age, and death. And I have this opportunity, I have this human form of life. And let me not, at least in this lifetime, I don't know in how many lifetimes I have done that, where I've been attached to my reputation and attached to so many things and I've not tolerated being corrected. But let me use this opportunity Let me use the great mercy of the devotees, the love and support of the devotees, the mercy that comes from the spiritual master. Tolerate being corrected and make this lifetime successful. Whatever is coming up in whatever anarthas are coming up in my vision, or whatever other people are bringing to my notice, let me work on them. It's an amazing opportunity for me to work on them. I can really make so much progress and make my path so much easier. Let me not get hung up on, reputation and self-hatred and not loving myself and all of that. Let me overcome these things and do whatever I need to overcome my barriers so that I can do, this. I can go from here to here and not here. I'm already in this wash, repeat, rinse, repeat cycle here, right? Now, what is the key? How can we help ourselves? One of the keys that helps me a lot, that has helped me a lot I have my dirty laundry, and I have made a lot of mistakes, and I'm still making mistakes, right? And I'm still going to keep discovering more and more anarthas and more, opportunities for growth. One of the things that really helps me is to know that no matter how fallen I am, no matter how terrible I am, and no matter what mistakes I have done, Krishna loves me unconditionally, right? We may not have the right reference points of unconditional love from the families we belong to and all of that. And that can make sometimes self-acceptance and self-love difficult. So let me, in those cases and in all cases, let me know one thing. I am unconditionally lovable by Krishna, no matter how fallen I am. Krishna loves me unconditionally. Unconditional means what? His love is not conditional based on whether you're perfect or imperfect. He loves me unconditionally, whatever figure I may have, whatever body type I may have, however I may look, whether I have the wealth or not, whether I have the skills or not, the abilities or not, the reputation or not, whether anybody loves me in this world or not. Krishna loves me unconditionally. And let me see myself from Krishna's point of view. Let me learn how to see myself from Krishna's point of view. Let me always stay connected to this fact that I am unconditionally lovable by Krishna. And that doesn't mean we go to the other spectrum of arrogant, hey, I'm unconditionally lovable by Krishna. No, the second part is Krishna loves you unconditionally, and Krishna loves each and every other soul unconditionally. So there's nothing special about you that I'm special again. There we go with our, me. But Krishna loves everyone unconditionally. Let me connect to that unconditional love. Let me connect to that unconditional acceptance and that mercy. And then let me learn how to see myself like that and make progress. Tolerate being corrected by holding on to this thing that, okay, if I make a mistake, I'm still lovable by Krishna. And I'll fix it and I'll become even more lovable, to Krishna. So let me do that and let me keep focusing, because the material body means disease anyway. So what reputation are we trying to protect here? I mean, we're already diseased. I mean, when people from the spiritual world and the heavenly planets look at us and our lives, and imagine if your whole life and your whole internal dialogue is like a reality TV show for people in the spiritual world. And they're looking at, hey, you're already diseased and you already have all of these anarthas, but you're trying to oh, I'm perfect, I'm this, I'm that. And, it must be so funny and amusing for them then, right? So I know every beggar is proud of their penny, but at the same time, you can't just stay with those pennies. You need a better life. And the better life is with Krishna. Better life is with self-acceptance and self-love. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'm very grateful to all of you for patiently listening. And I would love to hear from everyone here. Any comments, any other points that have come up to you as I've shared this, any points that have been missed in this discussion. I'll be happy to learn, because when it's nice to have a collective discussion. Any questions, clarificatory questions, I'll be happy to also serve in that.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
you so much for nicely covering these. It's important to connect. How do we connect our real life situations, and everybody makes mistakes. That's a given, but only few are fortunate enough to have somebody in their lives who can correct them, starting with their parents, with our own parents. So thank you, and connecting these Bhagavatam stories, because that gives us the real, these are real pastimes that have happened. So we will go to some questions, and devotees or anybody who has questions, there are several ways you can type, you can raise your hand, or just jump in. But before we do that, if you don't mind, I'll just like to take a few seconds to just.
Sure.
All right. Just quickly. I'll just stop your screen share.
I'll just turn around more to the light. It's pretty bright here. You know, half is light, half is not light. So I'll also just turn around.
Okay. So if you all can see my screen, our next upcoming program on Sunday is by Central New Jersey Temple President, His Grace Madhupati Prabhu. And on day we have His Grace Kratu
Prabhuji, we cannot
Maharaj.
Yeah.
He'll be speaking on how and reciprocate. This will be next Wednesday.
Prabhuji, it's
Apologize, I had some network issues, got disconnected. I think I'm back up. Can you all still see my screen?
No.
not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, yes, now it's good.
How about now?
No.
Still no. Anyways, so I covered, not sure where I got disconnected, but next Sunday is Madhupati Prabhuji. Next Wednesday is His Grace Kratu Prabhuji Maharaj. And then tomorrow story time, every Thursday story time. Tomorrow is Shivra. So we will have a very to join, especially the children, on the same Zoom call, and other programs that we have every Friday, Bhakti Rikshas, weekly Sunday school, our Bhagavad Gita readings in the afternoon, and our daily japa calls in the morning. So you can visit our website for more information. And I will also now post the website for Mataji. So if anybody would like to visit and get in touch with her or consult with her, can do that. So I see Gail Mataji, you have a question. Are you still there?
Hi Krishna. Hi Krishna Mataji. Thank you for the very nice, relevant class. I have a couple of things. Well, first, since you just finished talking about unconditional love, to try to understand better this unconditional love that Krishna has for us. So should we understand that his love is unconditional because who he is loving is the pure soul that we actually are, and not our conditioning. So when we think that how can Krishna love us, is because we're thinking that he's loving our conditioning, and that's not the case, is it? I'm just trying to understand, how is it that his love for us is unconditional? Is it, is the confusion coming because we're thinking that he is loving us with our conditionings, when actually it's not that. He's loving our pure selves that we are not necessarily in touch with.
Let me see if I understand your question. Is your question about that Krishna loves me because I'm a pure soul, or Krishna loves me because I'm a pure soul and I have my conditioning? Does he love me with, like, my warts and my moles, or does he just love me when I'm, this spirit soul part and parcel, like this real great pure soul? Is that what you're asking? Does he love me with my conditioning also?
What I'm asking is, how should I put it? The jiva is originally pure, and Krishna knows that, right? And so, but we only see ourselves, we only see our conditioned selves, right? But because Krishna knows our pure selves, he is able to love that, even though we don't yet realize our pure selves, because we are conditioned and we identify with our subtle and gross bodies. So, we're thinking, how can Krishna love me, this conditioned identity that I'm holding? But it's not that Krishna is loving that conditioned identity that I'm misidentifying with. He is loving the pure aspect of myself, the unadulterated jiva. Is that how we should understand unconditional love, or no?
My understanding is that our reference point for love, our understanding of love, is based on what we have experienced in the world. We have experience of being, being loved by Krishna, being in Goloka, being with the Lord himself. But we've kind of forgotten that. That's kind of become a little dormant. So it becomes a little hard for us to connect with the unconditional love that Krishna has, because we haven't had many reference points as, growing up in our lives. Every material, every living entity who's, right now, I remember hearing one very powerful class by Kadamkanand Swami Maharaj in Vrindavan once, and very short class, like probably 15 minutes, like Jayadvaita Swami, and very short class. And I remember hearing this in something in 2009 or 10, and he said, the functions of a living entity become dormant because of the covering of the material body. Right? So because of this covering, the functions of the soul are limited. And Prabhupada writes down in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the soul, the individual soul, your soul, my soul, everyone's soul, is more powerful than the sun. There is so much spiritual potency, there's so much spiritual power, there's so much, Krishna has invested so many of his potencies in us. But because we are conditioned, we're unable to connect with that. Our functions are dormant. We probably are like operating at a 1% level because we're covered by these material bodies. So now everyone is so conditioned. So even if the living entity wants to love unconditionally, love another soul unconditionally, it becomes difficult for them because they're so covered. So they're unable to love freely. And we want to receive unconditional love from people, but those people are not capable. And we also are not capable of giving that unconditional love in this material world. So a lot of times our understanding of Krishna's love comes from these reference points that we have experienced, right? And therefore we kind of have difficulty that how can Krishna love me with my, with my conditioning? He probably, he can love me because he knows I am actually a pure soul inside, and that's why he can love me. My understanding of this is that Krishna just loves me. It doesn't matter, and I don't know when I will be able to reach this pure, when I'll be able to completely overcome my conditioning, and I don't know how many lifetimes that's going to take, and when will I be able to like become that servant, that pure soul, and act from that soul platform, that pure soul platform. I don't know that, and I don't know how many lifetimes it's going to take. I don't know, millions and zillions of lifetimes, but I know that Krishna still loves me, whether I become that pure soul or not. So he's not waiting for me to become. Of course, he's waiting for me to become that pure soul because he wants, he like you see in the picture I shared, the way he welcomes Gopakumar. He's like, where were you? I haven't read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, but where were you? I've been waiting for you. He's missing each one of us. So his love is not coming from whether we are perfect or not, or whether we have the potential to be perfect or not. His love is just coming from the space of relationship. He has a relationship with us and he loves us unconditionally. Just like the parent loves their child, the parent doesn't love the child, doesn't invest in the child because the child has potential to become some perfect person and earn a lot of money and become this future identity. The parent just loves the child. The parent is not thinking, oh, in the future this child will become pure again or serve me and all of that. The parent just loves the child. So Krishna's love for us comes not from our purity or impurity or our potential for purity. It comes from us just because of the relationship he has with us. And there is one thing that gives me a lot of confidence in my life, that nobody can take away from me. See, my body will be gone. Whatever reputation, all of these things can be gone. The wealth will be gone. I don't even have to wait for myself to die. It can go tomorrow, right? We all have these experiences of ups and downs in life. People can take away everything from me, but even Krishna cannot take away one thing from me, and that is my relationship with him. Even Krishna can't take that away from me, right? So we say, I am yours. That is the epitome and that is the perfection of our devotional service. And we also say, Krishna is mine. What does Krishna is mine mean? Doesn't mean we possess Krishna. It means this relationship that I have with Krishna is mine. So Krishna loves me because of the relationship, not just because I have the potential to be perfect. That is my understanding. I'm sure there would be other perspectives here, and I'll be, please share.
Well, a couple of things come to mind when you were speaking. One is, I was thinking of like a parent who has a sick child, for example. The parent loves the child, whether he's healthy or ill.
Yes.
So maybe something like that. And another thought that came to mind was, you hear that expression, you hate the sin, not the sinner. So Krishna is able to see that distinction between our conditioning, which is like the sin, and us, the
Right.
true self. Maybe something
Right.
like that.
Right. Yes. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you so much, Madhuri.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had one other quick question, a separate one. Earlier in your talk, you had said that, when we don't recognize our needs, that can lead to mechanical sadhana. So I was wondering if you could make that connection a little clearer for me. Why is it that not recognizing your needs can lead to mechanical?
What can happen is, there were two separate points and I didn't elaborate on the mechanical spiritual life aspect. So thank you for bringing it up. What happens when we are not in touch with ourselves, when we're not in touch with our nature, then we just keep doing things, the sadhana, the activity. And when I say sadhana, what I mean is all your spiritual activities also, and your karma also, the work that you're doing. So what happens? So the sadhana includes your chanting, the type of services you are in, the type of association you are in, the kind of activities you choose to do in devotional service, the level at which you try to do those activities, etc. And sometimes when we're not connected with our needs, not connected with what we want, not connected with our true nature, we tend to do a lot of these things artificially. Now, an example could be that, I've seen. I was one of them as well. I used to live in Seattle, and now I kind of spend time in both in Seattle and Mumbai. So, every year, and I was working, and you get these 3 weeks of vacation, and the vacation is supposed to help you rejuvenate and relax. That's the reason they give you vacation. But when we come to spiritual life, we're trying to do everything, and even the weekends, we are engaged in service and so many different activities because we want to stay connected to Krishna and the devotees. Now, what would happen during those vacations is I used to use those vacations for yatras in India, and I would come, and everything would be so tight. I'd fly into India, immediately go to the yatra, fall sick in the yatra, go everywhere for like 8 days with the whole crowd and the group. and then probably have like 8 days to meet my family, and then do all the banking work and all the shopping and all, you know, all the other pending India stuff that's always ever pending. And, you know, when we come, you know, there's all things lined up, meeting relatives, and come back. And I would come back very exhausted from that whole trip, and I would need a vacation. You know, I would think, oh, I need a vacation, and I don't have vacation left. And I realized that this was just becoming mechanical. It wasn't like helping me, though yatras are wonderful and everything, but I wasn't able to focus. So, and then then some frustration can also build up. You know, you still have the purity of feeling for the yatras and everything, but then frustration builds up because your other needs are not being taken care of. Like I have needs for rest and relaxation. Some devotees may not, but I do have that need. And when I started recognizing that, I started making choices around that. And I started making my spiritual choices also around that, okay, I need a dose of spiritual inspiration. And that's why I go for the yatra. But then I end up compromising all these other needs that I have, and it creates other problems. So what can I do now so that I can take care of the spiritual need for strong inspiration and strong association, but at the same time, keep a balanced life for myself? It may work for others, it's not working for me. So when I started doing that, I realized I was able to be more stable, more steady, and more happy in my execution of Krishna consciousness, because I was taking care of, you know, being real about where I am. I'm not at that level that other devotees, you know, could perform at. Some of like these kind of things, like say austerities, could be around fasting, around I know some devotees do Nirjala Ekadasi for all Ekadasis. And then when we but then it's, you know, it's okay, let me connect with my body. Let me connect with my my constitution. What happens to me? What kind of acidity happens to me? Do I get headaches? Can I perform? You know, I need to go to work. I need to, you know, make food for the kids. I need to, you know, get my tiffin and, you know, get my house running. And, you know, I tend to fall sick every time. So that's what I mean by when you're not connected, we tend to do something that, you know, others are doing, which is very disconnected from whom we are as a nature. Yesterday in a program, I was sharing that like the program was on Vedic womanhood, etc. It's not like this is a mold and everyone has to fit in the mold. That's not what the Vedic system is. The Vedic system is, these are the recommendations that we have. You know, apply it according to your nature. And that's why there is Varnashram, where everyone is in a different Varna. Everyone has a different type of consciousness, and based on that consciousness, they're engaged in work and spiritual life, and that sets them on the path of success. So that's what I meant by that. When we're disconnected by our needs, then things tend to be mechanical.
Oh, that's beautiful, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have a question that I've just sent to you. It was in the chat box before I get to folks who raised their hand. The question is, we end up with low self-esteem if there's repeated correction, especially close family members. On the other hand, if we keep thinking we are the best, we become overconfident. So can you give a few quick tips on how to protect our self-esteem to be functional in everyday life and still not be overconfident?
So thank you, Prabhu, nice question. So when we're younger, a lot of our sense of self and who we are is based on the feedback we get and the approval we get from our family, you know, when we are young, when you're not adults, etc. And that is natural, that is normal. And we learn how to relate to ourselves based on how our parents relate to us, and our brothers and, you know, sisters, and, you know, our caregivers, our teachers relate to us. Now, as we grow older, and especially after we're adults, 18 and all, then the responsibility of, us knowing ourselves, understanding ourselves, etc., comes on us. Once we're adults, protecting our self-esteem. And what is self-esteem? Self-esteem comes from the word estimation, right? So self-esteem is having the right estimation of yourself. Yes. So having the right estimation of yourself means I am good at this, I'm not so good at this, I suck at this, I'm horrible at this. And having that awareness and having that acceptance of yourself, right? It's like taking a complete self-inventory. Having that self-inventory for you, what does my stock look like? What is my good stock, my bad, not so good stock, and stock that's work in progress, products that are work in progress, right? So when we have that in us, then what is my then how do I relate to myself in that situation? That yes, I have an inventory, I am taking feedback from people, I keep adding it to my list, right? But right now I'm focused on working on this aspect of myself because I think this is important. What everyone else is saying, fine, I'm going to take that feedback in and I'm going to write it down and I'll park it, but not park my car permanently. I'll drive it through also. So having that and just looking at everything as like a, in software terms, we used to call it like I was an agile master. So, calling it like the product work backlog. So we used to keep adding the bugs, think of it as a software update for yourself. It becomes very simple then. I used to work for Microsoft and then, I was also part of the team that released the Service Pack 3, the Windows, 2003 Service Pack, server service packs and all of that, right? And when I joined the company and, got really deep into the software, I was like, wow, these developers don't, and I was a software developer engineering test. So I used to write code to test the code the developers have written. And one thing I noticed was that my job is to find bugs in the software, right? And I write code and I find bugs and that's my victory. And I'm like all gleeful in meetings and, hey, I found these bugs. And everyone's like, wow, she's good. My job is that, and the developers would never take it personally, right? They're like, oh, you have a bug? Can you file the bug? And let's triage it. Let's figure out which bug is, what is the thing that really needs to be fixed right now, and I'll fix it. Right? I was like, there's no emotional relationship to the code. He's not letting the code be like a personal extension of his personality.
मुझे ऐसा क्यों लगता था क्योंकि कोविड सिचुएशन से हर कोई बबल में था, बबल से मिलता था, बबल को ही बताता था मैं यहाँ जा रहा हूँ, वहाँ जा रहा हूँ.
Okay, COVID, yes. Everyone's in a bubble. Thank you, Mataji. So the developer doesn't have any he's not taking feedback personally. He's like, fine, I wrote a code, it's not perfect, this is a bug, let me add it to the list, let me triage it and let me fix it. And I found that very inspiring. And I thought that as devotees, if all of us could just take all the feedback in, make a bug list that we have, I have these bugs in my software. And right now, this bug is very important to fix, and I'm working on fixing it. And I'll fix it, and then I'll come to the next one, and I'll come to the next one. And these huge companies, you have Microsoft, and all of these companies that are into product companies, right? And or even toothpaste or detergent, and you look at all these advertisements, they're like, oh, this one is even better than the last one. That means they accept the last one wasn't so good, right? And the very fact that service packs and updates were released, then now, of course, it's a complete subscription model, software, etc. So it's constantly being updated. Is they realize it's not perfect and they keep updating it, they keep fixing it to changing needs, etc. So if we could have that relationship with ourselves, where we just see everything as a bug, we triage it, and we keep releasing updates of our software in a very planned and phased manner. So I like to have a list where when I mess up, which I do pretty much a lot of times, right? Like I'm like, oh, I'm going to behave like this, and then don't end up behaving like that. It's like it comes out in a very wrong way. And then I make a list, I put it down, and I try to understand my triggers. I try to understand what is, what went wrong, what triggered me, what trigger I still need to work upon, etc. And you have to keep fixing it. And this is going to be a lifelong process, but it's fun because, another nivritti, there is a possibility of it happening. So you're a software, just treat everything as a bug and just, treat it as a software update. Don't treat like, any feedback or correction that you're receiving should not affect. We should try that it doesn't affect our sense of self-love also, right? So we should not stop loving ourselves just because someone's pointing out a lot of bugs. And then once we grow up and, we find that our family members are kind of like, pretty critical all the time, they don't tend to appreciate, then you need to find other people who can give you a more balanced view of yourself, with your friends in the devotee community, with your Shiksha gurus and yourself. You know yourself, you're the best expert on yourself. That's what I like to tell people. You are the expert of your life. You're the best expert, so just have some self-honesty and accept yourself. Self-esteem is also accepting the good in yourself. right? We sometimes mistake humility for constantly cursing ourselves, but humility is also about knowing what is good and how can you use those abilities in the proper way. This is what I have to share on this, Prabhu.
Thank you. We'll take a question from Vijay, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Haribol,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Fantastic class. I actually, signed up for your website too. I was excited to see all the courses. So
Thank
on
you.
a note, thank you. I was wondering, every different age and time, you're always being corrected. But now I think I'm at that age with teenagers around me as a owner of a company. And, I think it's my time to correct people, and I'm wondering what would be the right art of correction, because typically, it's a round circle, right? Thank God we're in ISKCON. We have great teaching. So because we have great teaching, we can teach also better to others, So the same way, when we are we've been always corrected, and we may have been corrected incorrectly many times, and that kind of grows on you. But if you could give us few tips on me personally right now, where the right art of correcting means, how would you approach people when you want to correct them? Because you want to ultimately take out some work from them, maybe as a manager, as an owner, as a husband, as a wife, as a student. I'm sorry. I mean, just trying to squeeze out few more information from you right now. Thank you. So if you don't mind that.
So while we do want to have the humility and tolerance for being corrected, and as we're trying to develop that consciousness, we're also leaders of our homes and families and at work. And sometimes we become so humble that we're not able to perform the leadership role well, right? That requires us to be strong, be firm, and correct people and lead them, in various ways. And how could you practice humility and empathy and loving the person and not hating the sin and not the sinner, and still keeping the focus on profit, because the whole bottom line for the company is profit, right? That's why you're in business, and that's important for you, right? Because that's an important that's why you're doing stuff. Now we serve in the temple, and the whole focus is serving Krishna, pleasing devotees, and then suddenly you come in the workplace and you're like, oh, where's the profit, and why is this man not giving me the profit, and why is he not, and if he doesn't do his job well, then I lose man hours and the billing rate increases, and so many things happen over there. It is a tough balance for us, because you're the same person. You're trying to be a humble devotee, and there you are, like the leader of your samrajya, the universe over there. So it is a tough balance, but we have to do our leadership role also effectively. And one very easy thing is to start reading Ramayana and read the instructions Lord Ram gives to Bharat Maharaj when he comes to request Lord Ram to come back to the kingdom. And Lord Ram is not the king, he's not the Yuvraj, but he still knows I'm the elder brother, and it's my duty to teach, and check on my brother if he's doing the right job. And there is I think there are a few chapters dedicated to how Lord Ram talks about the leader and how the leader needs to be, etc. He also says something very interesting. You should not become too familiar with your subordinates.
Okay.
Right. So there are many such very practical and interesting points there that you could take reference from. The second thing I would like to say is focusing on developing. See, I would like, if I have a manager, I'm just putting myself like as, say if I report to you, if you don't invest any time in developing a relationship with me, see, after a while, money doesn't motivate anymore. Right?
Sure.
So incentives and all are good, but after a while, people stop working for that. They work for being treated properly and respectfully as a human being. There's one person I work, he's my client, and he is the owner of this huge travel company, also a devotee. And so what we're working on with him right now is to invest in relationships with his company, with people in the company. And of course, we are not Krishna and we can't have relationship with everybody, but at least the key people that you depend upon, first invest in having a good relationship with them. understanding them as human beings, appreciating them as people. And when you have a relationship, they know you, you know them. When you correct them, they know exactly the place where you're coming from. And it becomes easier for them to tolerate being corrected. We have to make it easy for people to, to be corrected. So that makes it easy for them. The second thing that helps is, this is a common thing that all of us are aware of, is appreciate in public, tolerate, correct in private. That's a common theme that we all know. And also you have to prepare before that meeting. You have to be able to handle your own emotions very well. Something happens, we get disturbed because we're losing, the customer is not being served properly, or we're going to lose money, or, all of these things happen, and just the need for discipline and the need for things to go on properly. And those situations can disturb us, and it is natural to be disturbed. But it is nice to have a coping strategy in place for yourself. Like, okay, when these things happen, what is my coping strategy? How do I take care of my emotions? How do I calm myself down? How do I collect myself back up, and how can I be objective, right? We try to, do all of it together in that moment, and it doesn't work, Yeah. So we first need to calm ourselves down, take that time off, clear your head, go for a walk, breathe it out, just does a big, does huge magic in our lives. Do that like 5 times, 10 times. Take your time off, write down the things that you need them to do work on, and focus on the objective, right? It's like, instead of getting personal, you're a nonsense. You don't do anything right. You keep making the same mistake. I'm done. That's really not going to help you get the profit you want or the workout, that you need. So just focus on the work. Just keep repeating. There is something called as a broken record. It's called a broken record technique. And the American, I've seen the call centers do it really well. Like, you're like fried. I need the refund. I need this. I need that. They just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. They keep giving you the same answer over and over again until you're like, I'm getting nothing out of this. I need to hang up and just accept what is there. So when you practice being a broken record and being focused on what you want, what is the objective, and make it, see, we have to help our people perform as leaders. Not everyone knows what they need to do, and not everyone is clear on what your goals are. And we get exasperated repeating and repeating and repeating, but that's what you need to do as a leader. Just keep repeating the objective you want and stay focused on that. And when you find yourself fuming and getting upset, take a break, find a way to release that, and then come back again and keep repeating. These are some of the things that come to me instantly. I hope.
Yeah, and Mataji, I wanted to share one side from my little experiences. I changed the word from why to how. So typically, when I go into a room of my teenager and say, why your room is dirty? I say, how come your room is dirty? That gives them that little gap and space for them to react and then come back to me the way I want them to come back to me, for me to hear it too. Because my BP then goes up, right? It's a challenge, right? Tune mujhe aisa bola, then maine tujhe aisa bola, and then and same with the workers. Typically I have so many different level of people working under me, and I always nowadays say, instead of saying why the shipment went late, I say, how come? Can I work with you to make it better? Maybe the system is broken.
Perfect.
So just wanted that dialogue with you. Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
I think I can go on for another 10 minutes or 15 minutes if there are questions. It's morning for me. It's late night for you.
Yeah. Okay. There's 2 questions. Hands raised. We'll take those 2. And
sure.
Then Shraddha Mataji, you would like to go?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that wonderful class. So I have 2 things to share, a question and a reflection from when you were talking that why tolerance for being corrected, that it goes down. For me, what I was thinking is that when the correction comes, from a social stalwart or somebody who we consider as larger than life figure, then I guess the acceptance sinks in pretty easily, because that sense of reverence is there, maybe that sense of awe is there, or maybe because that person is respected by hundreds and thousands of people. So if he or she is saying something, there has to be a value to that. But when the correction comes from somebody who I don't really see as larger than life, I mean, okay, could be a little better than I am, but really not, not up to that standard. So, why shall I even bother, kind of a thing. So I was just thinking that probably it's the false ego. Because probably I overestimate myself in my own eyes. And that's why I don't give that due respect or that value to the other person's correction. So yeah, that's again, I mean, I was just thinking about that when it's
a good point.
Okay, just somebody else, like that. And my question would be, I mean, there are people who are so much in love with themselves, they really don't need anybody else to love them, because they love themselves so much that no matter what they do, it's very difficult to provide feedback to them. And not that we are really trying to give them the feedback to correct them, but just to penetrate that core that, make space. You've got to make space and become more real. So how to do that? How to break? Because I have seen this, that people who totally love themselves, their defense wall, I guess, is the hardest to break. So how to reach out to them to tell them that, become more malleable, basically.
Thank you so much for sharing, so openly about your own checklist of who you take correction and who you don't take it from. It takes a lot of courage to share that, and I'm sure we all have those things, but thank you for bringing it all out for all of us. Thank you. Regarding self-love and these self-loving people, now self-loving people can be of two types, right? One can be the self-love that is coming from, yes, I have imperfections, but Krishna loves me unconditionally, so I love myself. It comes from a place of humility, right? That self-love coming from a place of humility and coming from a spiritual basis. There can be this whole sense of self-love, which can be totally rooted in narcissism. And if you look deeper in the consciousness of those people, the narcissism, where the tendencies are high, and some people actually have a disorder also, narcissistic personality disorder. The thing is, they, in their mind, they actually, the reason their defense and their wall is so strong is because internally there is a lot of lack of self-love for themselves. They're constantly trying to show that they're perfect. They're constantly trying to prove that they're perfect to everyone. Because when they were probably growing up, love was at a premium for them. They probably got the attention and the love of their caregivers only when they were perfect. So they kind of disconnected from their real self, the conditioned self. They created this whole false self as a coping mechanism, and internally, the reason they can't take the feedback is like, it seems like they love themselves. It seems that they're very happy. It seems that they're enjoying, and they're so, charming also a lot of times. Because why are they charming? Because they want to keep attracting the attention, and that's like their supply. The reason they keep their defenses are so strong is because they don't want anything to penetrate to remind them of who they really are, because that triggers a lot of their lack of self-love and a lot of the memories in the past, etc. So such people, it's extremely difficult to penetrate even for trained psychologists, because they're very adept at putting up that false self, that even a trained psychologist can find it very difficult to even understand and see through what they're who they really are. I had like I had a, and of course in teenagers it can be more, and uh, I actually saw the spectrum right from a 17-year-old as a client who, child client that the parents needed help with, to a 74-year-old. And when I saw that, I found that to a certain point, they are able to go with you because they trust you and because you've developed that trusting relationship with them. But after that, it can become very impossible to help them just love themselves for who they really are versus this whole false self they have created. And then because of this, they don't have so much empathy also, because of this whole lack of self-love and this whole boundary that they've created, and like it's all about me and it's all about taking care of my needs and all of that. These people are they're dysfunctional in their relationships. They don't have empathy. They'll exhibit empathy only if they want to get something out of you. It's all about getting their love and their supply, etc. So unless you're trained in the NP, the whole, again, I'm guessing that's what it is, what you're referring to. But if it is this, it's very difficult to penetrate. And I think, in my humble opinion, I worked with these two clients. I got them to a certain point, and they made progress. The reason they made progress is because people got tired around them. Their family members got tired around them. And the family members started withdrawing from them. So they started losing the supply. Again, the supply of attention and love and people taking care of them and people hovering around them. So what I noticed is they did whatever fixing of their own selves, the tolerance for being corrected, till it got them to the point to get their needs met from the family, which was again very self-serving. But beyond that, whatever inner work that needed to be done to bring about real transformation, they didn't do that. And I had to let them go. Though they said, I want to continue, etc. Like this 17-year-old, I worked for a year. And of course, you can't, I'm not a psychologist or someone to diagnose these people. I'm not trained in that field. But after I got that teenager to a certain point, and then after that, I had to have a talk with the parents that, this is what I can do. Beyond this is not, it's not my capacity. And I don't think she's ready for this right now. So we have to make peace with the fact that certain things in our life, certain things we see around us don't get fixed. And they don't come to what is pono or what is proper. And you can see them in pain. You can see them suffering. But we have to learn how to make peace with the fact and tolerate the fact that certain things will not be correct around us. And pray for them. Krishna's mercy can do anything. And we can offer prayers to them, because what happens if you try to correct these people too much, you lose their relation, you lose complete relationship with them, and they start hating you so much because you're trying to show them the mirror, or you're trying to help them be real, etc. Then they withdraw from you completely. So that is what I have to say, and I have to share from my experience.
I guess the conclusion was good, that pray for them. Probably that's the only thing that can help them from crumbling, and especially if it's a loved ones, it really aches deep inside that why can't let go of that person like that. But yeah, I guess prayers, they have power. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so very much. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
I think the last question from Alka Mataji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, wonderful class. Your story about Hare Krishna Mataji and how she was tending to the cows and how she corrected them, that was very touching to me. And, I was thinking about it the whole time. So what I liked is that, she was correcting the cows, right? She was hitting them to bring them back. And, but the thing is that Hare Krishna Mataji was invested in the cows. As you were mentioning, like in your previous answer, that you have to invest in relationships with people. So my question was that, how can you accept being corrected from someone who is absolutely not invested in you spiritually or in teaching you, but they're just correcting you? So that for me is very difficult, Mataji. So if you had any pointers.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking this nice question. It helps bring a more holistic view to the presentation. So thank you for that. See, in our life, there'll be a lot of people giving us feedback, right? There's a lot of feedback going to come, and it can be a deluge, right? So ever since I started coming on Hare Krishna TV, I get like, it's like a deluge of messages and feedback and etc. And then like what I did, I tried to change things according to every feedback I was getting, and I thought, everyone has their own mood and everyone has their own thing. So let me stick to the plan. The plan that I have set with the Hare Krishna TV team of, what is the intention of the program and what are we trying to do? And let me not change that whole course just because there's so much feedback coming. Now in our, and we do go through all the feedback, but then we pick that which is, in line with what we're trying to do. There's a lot of feedback from, I don't know, so many different things. So what I have learned how to do in my life over a period of time, it was not so easy, but as I developed a stronger self-esteem and more self-confidence, I have a strong network of, well-wishers around me, which is of course my family and my friends in the devotee community and my Shiksha gurus. So if like, and there's something that I heard somewhere and I found it very apt. Why would you take feedback from someone if you wouldn't take their advice, right? So if you're doing, something in your life and, you're trying to buy a house or you're trying to figure out which school to send your children to and all of that, you wouldn't take their advice. And why would you take their feedback? You take advice from people whom you trust and whom you know are your well-wishers and who would think well for you. So so we take feedback from trusted people, the trusted network of people. Now, but we're still getting external feedback. Krishna's arranging some feedback from people we don't know very well and, all of that. So what do we do with that feedback? We take it and we pass it through our system of trusted, people and discuss it with them. Right? First, see how it fits in your, life and whether this person is a well-wisher. Do they really mean well? Or, where is this whole? See, a lot of people also correct others because they themselves have low self-esteem. So that makes them feel better by constantly correcting others. Right?
Yes,
Now,
yes.
that also happens. So it's a very, you have to be very thoughtful about whose feedback are you taking. And okay, fine, they have this habit. It comes from a place of low self-esteem, but they're constantly giving me this feedback. Let me think about it. Spend some time thinking about it, discuss it with your network of people, and if it makes sense, apply it in your life. And if it's not working out right now, you can park the issue and you can say, I don't understand this bug so well. Let me put it as, like a priority 4 item instead of as, top priority item. I put it in my list, I'll be mindful of this, but I don't understand it right now. That's what I would do in those situations.
Wonderful answer, Mataji. I'm hoping that everyone heard that, because sometimes we need help with this, because we are so much engaged in not offending the other person who's a devotee that we tend to listen everything. So you very nicely pointed out that we need to have filters. We cannot accept feedback from somebody that you don't trust, somebody that doesn't have your best interest at heart. That's what I wanted to say earlier, that somebody, it's coming from somebody who doesn't wish well for you.
Or maybe they think they're wishing well, but their way of wishing well for you doesn't work for you.
Correct.
That also happens because every devotee is different. Everybody's nature is different. Everybody's personality is different. And they want to help you, but sometimes you don't need help also. So, or their way of helping is not, working in your situation. So you be respectful. You understand where they're coming from. Thank them for spending so much time thinking about you. It's like everyone's so busy. They're giving you that advice. Be thankful, be grateful, and pick what you need. Like, we don't have to be upset with these people. We define and we work towards things.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.